all religious arguments for God so bad? In fact, as we're going to see today, they're not even arguments. They're just endless claims and wishful thinking masquerading as arguments. This thing is true is not an argument. It's just something that you really want to believe. And that's just dumb. So let's get into it. Let's look at a video from Trustworthy with Levi Joshua Pingleton called Arguments for the Existence of God #1. He's got, at the moment, 14 of these stupid things on his channel, but we'll go take a look at the first one and see if it's any good. If it's really impressive, and I don't think it will be, but I guess we can go back to the next one if you really want me to. Let me know down in the comments at the end of this. So, what are these arguments? I really have no idea. I figure they can't be that impressive because no religious arguments for God ever are. But I'm happy to be proven wrong. So, show us exactly what you got, Levi. Hopefully it's going to be better than the norm, but I'm not holding my breath.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Truthworthy. This is Levi Pingleton with Catholic Apologetics International.
Oh, good. That is not a good sign, is it? Now, granted, this is another tiny little channel with 267 subscribers at the moment, but I'm really not impressed with anything remotely Catholic anymore. Of all of the Christian denominations, they are among the worst, mostly because they absolutely do not care about reality at all, and if their stupid church says it, well, it's just got to be true, so there, and that's pathetic. But I guess that we're already committed, so let's get back and see what his argument is. I'm even less convinced that it's going to be good now.
Visit us at robertsongenis.com, journey to the center of the universe.com, and robertsongenis.substack.com. And you can visit me at levipingleton.substack.com, at my Facebook page, and at the Truthworthy YouTube channel. Just look it up at Truthworthy.
Hard pass, but thanks for the invitation anyhow. Now, can you please get on to your argument? Because these people never have anything worthwhile to say, and I can say that without even knowing what his argument is going to be, because I've been doing this for so many decades, and not one single theist has ever had a halfway decent argument yet. And this is not going to change. At least I'm predicting, because they don't understand what a good argument is. They only know how to pander to the already religious, so they think that they are justified in their existing beliefs. But this would never convince a skeptic, and they're not even trying. So I guess it's back to the video, if he's done with the self-promotion, so that we can confirm just how terrible this is going to be. So, hey, back to Levi, I guess.
Also, be sure to visit our friends, colleagues, and family at the Colby Center.
Enough already! He has spent the first 30 seconds of his video doing nothing but self-promotion when he hasn't even demonstrated that it's worth following around to begin with. You put this stuff at the end, once you've convinced people that you're worthy. You don't put it at the beginning. Of course, this is just proving what I already said, that this is not intended for anyone but the existing believer. Anyone else would have clicked off by now. Probably we should have, but we're kind of committed, as I said. This is the fundamental dishonesty of the religious, and especially Catholics, I've noticed, but I trust that nobody else is surprised. So please, can we get to something remotely resembling an argument? Because that would sure be nice.
Today, what I'm going to be beginning is presenting some arguments and proofs for God.
Finally! And I'll be showing why these so-called proofs are nothing of the sort, because I'm not just assuming that God's a real first, which I'm sure that's all he's going to be doing. Well, it sounds like God to me. And you know that how? Because of all the stories I've been told. And the people who told you those stories, They knew any of that. How? No answer, of course, because no answers exist. They just really want to believe it. This is why these people never convince a non-believer, because they rely on the fact that their intended audience already believes all the stuff that they do and doesn't have to be rationally convinced, because we all know that they have none of that. No rationality whatsoever. This is why these people look so damn stupid. Because they are.
So, without further ado, let's get into it. The first argument for God is from change. All around us, we witness change.
But that has nothing at all to do with the existence of an actual God, does it? Here's what he's going to do, because there are a ton of arguments that do this, and it's always a gigantic argument from ignorance. Here's the thing that happens. I don't understand how it happens, therefore, God done it. No God's demonstrated, of course, just because I said so. That's why they always fail. They treat God like the automatic answer to any question that they can't trot out a ready answer for, or one that they just like. The answer is God if and only if you can show that there is an actual God that really exists, and good luck on that. And then, once you've proven that God is real, that said God was actually responsible for whatever. And we all know they can't do that. They don't care. This is just saying, see, I told you I was right, to the people who already believe it on faith, because they don't care either. They are not thinking about anything that he has to say. They just listen and believe, and that's stupid. Now, I guess we have to give him a chance to completely make a fool of himself, so I'm going to let him get to his claim, but I think we already know that this is going to go nowhere, because none of them ever do. But hey, we're here, so let's try to be patient.
A lump of metal is shaped into a bell. Caterpillar becomes a butterfly. The seasons shift. People grow old. And the world always is changing in many ways.
What the hell is wrong with your camera? I mean, it's shaking all over the place. Do you not have a tripod? Are you shaking the table? What is going on here? This is yet another problem with a lot of religious videos, and I know it's not just the religious, but we see it there a lot. And why I say that you need to watch for quality control, because clearly he's not doing that. Now, this is the first video in this series, but it isn't the first video on his channel, so I don't know that he really has any excuses, but maybe he'll figure it out as time goes on. I don't know. I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt, so I don't know. I have no idea why I brought this up. We all get better as time goes on, or at least I hope so. So I will try not to talk about it again unless it gets really, really bad. But it is kind of distracting, isn't it? I guess this is just another video best listened to and not actually watched.
But nothing changes itself. The bell doesn't shape itself, it needs a blacksmith. The caterpillar doesn't choose to become a butterfly.
But it doesn't require anyone to change it. It's just how nature operates. And this is where I figure that he's going to go wrong. One of many, many places, I'm sure. And why most people who do this only use man-made objects as their examples so that they can claim that somebody makes them change. Nobody makes the caterpillar change, at least not demonstrably. It's just how its biology functions. No gods required. So let's get through the rest of his examples or whatever, and hopefully get on to something more valuable. But no, it's just going to be, I don't get it, therefore God, like it always is. How pathetic is that?
It is acted upon by forces built into nature. Change always involves moving from what is not to what is, from potential to actuality.
But that doesn't demonstrably require a god or any intelligence to make it happen. It's just nature. Nature is doing what nature does. Because there are all kinds of bell-shaped things that come about in nature to go back to one of his other examples. And there are also things that make bell kind of sounds in nature, like the ringing rocks found across the globe. So, where is he going to insist that God's required for any of this to happen? Because I'm sorry, I'm just not seeing it.
Something that only has the potential to be something else cannot bring itself into being.
And nobody claims that it does. Of course, here's where he'll have to pretend that God has always existed or something, because God couldn't bring himself into existence or whatever, right? So it's just, here's me defining my imaginary friend into existence in a way that I happen to personally like. And that doesn't fly with anybody but the already delusional. Granted, I figure I'm jumping ahead, but these arguments are so blatantly obvious that we can tell you where you're going to go wrong 30 seconds before you get there, because all of this, it's always the same. Dumb. But I'll try to let him get to his stupidity before I go ahead and criticize it. I mean, it's the least I can do.
A block of marble doesn't sculpt itself into a statue, it requires a sculptor.
Not necessarily. We can find rocks that are weathered into artistic shapes in nature all the time. This is where it all becomes interpretation, not fact. This is something that we've talked about before, where the religious will claim that nature can't create things, and then we'll show them letters formed entirely naturally and then interpreted by humans, because that's what it always comes down to. Interpretation. Nature is just doing what nature does. And it's only when humans come along and say, hey, that kind of looks like something, that it becomes meaningful to us. It's not meaningful to nature because nature's just doing what nature does. The only meaning that comes out of it is when we look at it and say, hey, because it really has no meaning, does it? Just like everything that the religious believe. It's all in your head.
Something already actual, to bring that potential into reality. Even human beings who seem to move and act by their own will are not exempt from this principle.
Really? Prove it. Granted, he won't even try, because this is all about theistic assertion, not demonstrable fact. Humans are perfectly natural. We evolved just like every other animal on the planet. The religious just don't like it because they want to be special, and they care more about what they want than what's actually true. So once again, this is going to be, I don't get it, or I don't like it, therefore God done it, with no gods and evidence whatsoever, because they don't actually care what's really true. This is why skeptics laugh at the religious, because they deserve it.
We are moved by internal realities, our intellect, our desires, and ultimately our soul.
Which soul is that exactly? Demonstrate that for us if you would. Of course, he won't, because he can't, because he's just making this nonsense up, just like everyone in his silly church does, because he really likes the idea. That doesn't make it true. This is why these arguments don't get you anywhere. It's all just claims with no evidence and support. That's why it seems to me theology is so worthless, because they're only concerned with what sounds good in their heads, not what is actually true in reality. Because they don't care. So why should we?
When the soul leaves the body at death, the body stops moving because the principle of movement is gone.
That's a bullshit claim. Please prove that any of that is true. They can't, and they won't even try, because they just don't care. You can't prove that souls exist at all. You can't prove that they have anything at all to do with the body moving or whatever else. You just really like the sound of it, and that's your problem, not mine. This is why they get laughed at a lot and why they're only making videos for each other, because they can't prove that any of these ridiculous ideas have any validity in the real world. They are terrified of the real world. What the hell else is new?
This raises a vital question. If every changing thing is moved by something else, and each mover is also being moved, how far back does this go?
None of that is true at all. This is just religious bullshit that you've bought into because, let's be honest, you're not that bright. This is why it seems to me means absolutely nothing, because you haven't shown that what sounds good to you makes any sense whatsoever in demonstrable reality. Because it's reality that matters, not your feelings. Stop making a fool of yourself. But if they did that, then they wouldn't be theists, would they? Because that's all the religious can do.
Can we have an endless chain of movers? No, that would explain nothing.
But this explains nothing. This is just emotionally invented nonsense because it makes you feel good, and that is positively childish. Then again, look at who we're talking about, right? This is why every single religious video that we have ever done, or probably will ever do, just makes us roll our eyes, because honestly, people really shouldn't be this dumb. That they are is kind of pathetic, and this is what religious fucktards are like. This is why religion is dying, and probably no Christian denomination is dying faster than Catholicism. Connection? I don't know. Let me know what you think down in the comments.
There must be a first cause, an unmoved mover, something that is itself not moved, yet causes all other change.
Welcome to Special Pleading. Everything has a cause except for this thing that I just made up because I don't like not understanding what's going on. Yeah, because you're an idiot. Tell me you didn't see that one coming. Even if any of this was true, which it isn't, that doesn't mean God done it. That doesn't mean any gods exist at all. It just means that there are people dumb enough to believe it without any evidentiary support. And that is not something to be proud of. So why are you?
The first mover cannot be part of the physical universe, because everything material is subject to change.
Notice how they're just going on and on and on and on about things that they can't demonstrate are actually true, right? This is all shit they made up in their heads because it's emotionally comforting, not verifiable in any rational way. And that's religion for you. That's why religion is so stupid. Because these are people who, lacking the intellectual integrity to just admit that they don't know, or to face the existing evidence head on, they just invent nonsense because it makes them happy. And then they just expect everyone else to fall for it too. We're not going to do that because we're not that dumb. So why are they?
It must be beyond matter, beyond time, and beyond space.
All of which are just made up. This is the problem. It sounds good to me, only works if you don't actually think about it rationally. The second that you do, it all falls apart. But they're not at all concerned, are they? They just really want to believe. They really like the idea that this stuff might be true because, fifis. That is not an intelligent way to go through life, is it? But then again, look at these people. They are not smart people. These are people with serious intellectual problems, at least when it comes to their religious beliefs. It's time to grow the hell up already. Come on. Seriously, give it a shot.
It must be pure act with no potentiality, no becoming, and no change.
It's just something that you made up because you really like the idea of some magical father figure in the sky watching over you, and it's the only way that you can get to the things that make you quiver inside. So, what the hell, right? It's no wonder the religious don't want to talk to us, because we point out the reality where they're wrong, where their beliefs are unjustified, where their claims are unsupported, and they don't like that very much, do they? Wonder why?
is what we Catholics mean when we speak of God.
That thing you can't prove exists or point to any evidence of any kind whatsoever that supports it in the least. Yeah, we know. You've deluded yourself out of your minds, supported a criminal church that is only after your money and your children, and you're only too happy to let it all go. Little Jimmy, why don't you go with the nice priest? Are you out of your mind? Why would anybody trust the clergy with their children, given the thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of demonstrable cases where these kids are getting molested? Oh, right, you don't care because you think there's a magical man in the sky watching over everybody. What a bunch of morons!
He is the unmoved mover, the eternal and perfect source of all that changes, yet who himself never changes.
I wanted to point something out here, but he hasn't actually made an argument for God at all, has he? He's only made bald-assed assertions, empty claims, stuff for which he can provide absolutely no corroboratory support. This is not an argument. This is just wishful thinking. But that's all the religious have, isn't it? They really want this stuff to be true. They don't care if it is, they just wish with all their hearts and minds that it was, and then they stop thinking about it because, it would be heartbreaking if their overactive fantasy lives weren't so. And then they think that we're the ones with the problems. Go figure. But he has not provided a single argument. He has provided absolutely nothing in support of his claims. He's just pretending that he was right all along. And he's wrong. Big surprise there.
As St. Thomas Aquinas taught with divine wisdom, quote, whatever is moved by another. But to avoid an infinite regress, there must be one who begins the movement of all things, yet is himself uncaused, unchanging, and necessary. That one is God.
Fuck Aquinas. I mean, this is painfully dumb, isn't it? And this is why these videos are not being made to convince anyone who doesn't already believe. Because they can't. Because they have absolutely nothing with which to convince us. I don't know why people don't understand this. I mean, we get it, right? So why can't the religious? Because they don't care. Because they haven't got a functional brain in their heads when it comes to their religious faith. This honestly can't be that hard. So why is it?
And this is Levi Pingleton. Thanks for watching today with us, and I ask that you would hopefully come back.
And after that, he just repeats all the crap from the beginning, so we're going to skip over all that stuff again. In fact, if we do any more of these, all of that garbage is just getting cut out because, holy crap, who needs it? You haven't earned the right to self-promote here. Of course, that raises the question, do you want to see any more of these? I don't know. Granted, no theist video is any good, we know that going in, but would you like to see a couple more of these in the vein of Daniel King or JCO Journeys, where we do maybe one a month or so, just to look back in and see what else he's got? Let me know in the comments what you think. I've put a couple of them on my list, just in case, but I'm going to wait until I get some feedback before I do another. The list is very, very, very long after all. So what do you think? It's bizarre to see these people not even knowing that they have no argument. He's just making claims with nothing in support because he really wishes it was true. But that doesn't make it true, does it? So he's only talking to the other idiots who already believe it because he knows, he has to know on some level, that everybody else is just going to laugh at him. And we should. This is why they fail so consistently. Because they've earned it. I can't really think of any other field where they fail so consistently, yet they don't get roasted publicly. These people need to be ridiculed every single day with every single video because they are absolutely awful. So why doesn't that happen a lot more often? I have no idea. There's no point in being nice to these fuckers. These people deserve to get laughed at. These people deserve to get ridiculed. And if you think you know why they're not, or you think they should be, Either way, let me know that in the comments, and I'll catch you all next time.